Hey y'all. Excuse me. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome, welcome. And if you're new here, hello. How are ya? My name is Mom of Three, and on this channel we talk about real life. We also talk about real life cases, trending stories, and the human side behind the headlines. Tonight's story is kind of heavy, so I want to say this up front. This is not about politics. This is not about my immigration opinions. This is about a mother who lost her life and the questions that still don't have answers. So tonight we're talking about Renee Nicole Good. If you're in the chat, please let me know you're here. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you've heard of this story yet. And if you're catching the replay, thank you for being here. This is an important conversation. And, it's definitely a headline today. So, yeah, please join me. Before we get even into what happened, we need to talk about who Renee was, because she is not just a headline. Renee Nicole Good was 37 years old. She was a mother of three children. She was a U.S. citizen. She described herself as a poet, writer, and mom. She was a stay-at-home mom. Hey sis, welcome in, welcome in. Get that person out of here. I'll do it. Yeah. So, hey Jay, welcome in, welcome in. I think because of the subject, we might have idiots coming in, but just, whatever. Um, I'm still going to talk about it. So, whatever. And I'm actually going to ignore it. So, Lily, if you stay in here, just, time them out. Um, So she was a mother of three. She was a stay-at-home mom. She was a U.S. citizen. She and was not the target of any immigration raid. So let that sink in. She had recently moved to Minneapolis, trying to build a life for herself and her kids. Friends and family describe her as a loving, creative, and was deeply devoted to her children. And like many mornings for parents, especially moms, she was just doing what she always did, taking her child to school, going about her day, and expecting to come home. On January 7th, which was yesterday, Renee had just dropped her young son off at school. Think about that for a moment as a parent. That quick hug, that I'll see you later, what was a normal routine. Welcome in, doctor. Welcome in. Not sure if you saw the headline, but that's what it was. What is about. It's about a mother that unfortunately lost her life yesterday by an ICE officer. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming by. Everybody that comes in the chat, please keep it respectful. This is not about our opinions about immigrants or ICE. This is about somebody who lost their life. you know? So what was a normal routine ended up a tragedy. So at the same time, agents were conducting a large immigration enforcement operation in South Minneapolis. Now, here's where things start to get complicated. Renee was driving with her partner when federal ICE agents surrounded her vehicle. Multiple agents, tactical gear, guns drawn. Imagine how scared she was. Imagine how scared her partner was. Just imagine. Cell phone footage that later circulated online shows agents positioned in front of and around her car. And this is where everything went wrong. Have you guys heard of this story? Let me know if you guys have heard this story. Hey, Luke, welcome in. Luke, welcome in. Yeah, we're talking about a woman that lost her life yesterday due to an ICE agent, and she was not an immigrant, even though that wouldn't matter. But unfortunately, she did lose her life. So, according to ICE, they claim Renee attempted to drive forward and that agents feared for their lives. But according to witnesses, community leaders, and what people say they see in the video, the story does not appear to be that simple. Renee's vehicle did not appear to be speeding. It did not appear to be aggressively charging. Yet, an ICE agent fired multiple shots into her car. Renee was hit. She was critically injured. She died at the scene. No warning shot, no taser, no de escalation, just deadly force. And I do want to say that, you know, everything I say is alleged. And it is under the fair use for commentary and news reporting. So, and that's when this stopped being just a local incident and became a national conversation. This is the heart of why people are angry. ICE says Renee posed a threat. Agents acted in self defense. The shooting was justified. Witnesses and city officials say the video does not clearly support that claim. Force appears excessive. Serious questions remain about why lethal force was used. And here's where I pause and ask you, if you are surrounded by armed agents yelling commands, adrenaline high, how do you react? Because fear is real, panic is real, and instincts do kick in. You know, her heart must have been coming out her, you know what, you know, she must have started to panic. But according to witnesses, she didn't do anything wrong, no matter what the ICE agents are alleging. So that doesn't mean someone deserves to die. And this is the part that breaks me every time in situations like this. Renee's children are now without their mother. Her youngest child, she had just dropped him off at school. Imagine that child waiting to be picked up. Imagine the adults having to explain that mommy is not coming. Imagine, just imagine. Imagine if the child was in the car still. No politics can justify that pain. No agency statement can erase that trauma. A family was permanently altered in seconds. And within hours, protests erupted in Minneapolis. People demanded body cam footage, transparency, accountability. Even today in New York, there was a mob downtown protesting against what happened yesterday. People are demanding body cam footage, transparency, and accountability. Elected officials, including Representative Omar, publicly condemned the incident and demanded answers. This case reignited long-standing concerns about ICE operating like a police force, federal agents conducting raids near schools, use of deadly force without clear threat. And the biggest question people are asking, why was Renee stopped at all? Why? Yes, there's protests in a whole bunch of places now because of this. You know, the community, the nation is taking this very seriously. Why was she even stopped at all if she had nothing to do with their investigation or whatever they had going on? Why? Just why? You know? Welcome in, everybody. If you're just walking in, if you're just coming in, I'm talking about the woman, Renee Good, who was just unalived yesterday by an agent, and she was not even the target. She did nothing wrong. She just dropped her son off at school and was on her way, and unfortunately was stopped, and that was the end of her life. If please hit that like button, please double tap the screen, please, comment your opinion. Let me know if you've heard of this incident that happened yesterday. And of course, please subscribe. So as of right now, the FBI is investigating. The ICE agent involved has not been charged. The agent's identity has not been released. I think as of right now, it might have been released because it's a little while since I looked up. The investigation is ongoing. So let's hope that, there's justice for Renee. All this means is no final answers, no accountability yet, no closure for the family. You know, they do have a GoFundMe and it already has raised over $500,000. So now I want to hear from you. You know, do you think that ICE agents should be allowed to use deadly force like police? Hey, Rodney. Hey, JR. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. Thanks for passing through. I am going to show you a video according to a news outlet. This one is on YouTube, but the news outlet was NBC News. So let's see. Excuse me.
City. I can have Frank or Ken speak to if you know how many criminal convictions of the 54 had previous to this arrest that they had. I don't know if you have those data points with you. Numbers, we can get those for you, though. Exactly. The vast majority of them, though, have criminal charges against them or convictions against them as well. Yes.
Where were the 54 people from? Were they all part of the Trinity audios? And what's the immigration status?
Again, loosely affiliated to the Trinitarios. Want to make that clear. Through connections connections that we made by speaking to them, understanding who they were, where they were operating out of, and contacts that they had.
As we listen right now to Secretary Noem and some other members of the Customs and Border Patrol take questions, we should note this news conference taking place in New York is actually focused on a totally different operation called Operation Salvo, focused on the arrests of 54 different people over the last few months. Many, according to Secretary Noem, are violent gang members. The question part of this just started, so we're listening to see if Secretary Noem is asked about the latest on the situation out of Minneapolis. Let's return.
Another situation like one happened yesterday here in Manhattan.
What I would encourage everyone to do, and especially your elected officials, is to bring everybody together to talk about partnerships and start working with ICE and start working with CBP as we bring criminals to justice. And many times your policies and the rhetoric coming out of elected officials has divided people and pitted them against each other. Our job every day, and what President Trump promised to do, was to protect every single American, no matter where they lived in this country, that he was going to make sure that we weren't going to have more victims in this country. And we are going to continue to do that each and every day. And I'd encourage the leaders in this city and your governor and in other cities and states across this country to work with us rather than opposing us so that we can continue to make our streets safer. Yes, right here.
What has to do with her?
We're hoping the mayor will work with us to get these criminal elements and especially gang members and terrorist organizations out of New York City. I know he and the president had a productive conversation. Our communication them in. They were impeding our law enforcement operations, which is against the law. And when they demanded and commanded her to get out of her vehicle several times yesterday on that tragic situation.
Here.
I'm just going to rewind.
I mean, Joe, we do have a crowd.
Expect to hear from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz in about a half hour or so. Tell us what you're seeing today.
I mean, Joe, we do have a crowd growing behind us, and this is the scene of the shooting yesterday, which happened just 24 hours ago. I'll step out of the way. You can see kind of the growing numbers behind me, and we've had people basically here all night, and now they're kind of growing once again now that daylight is here. And you're right, there is also a growing protest over at the federal building, which effectively is ICE headquarters here in Minneapolis. We have teams there watching that as well. But I think, what we really want to point out is we're watching this press conference, which I think we're going to throw back to as we speak, Joe.
Yesterday on that tragic situation was that these individuals had followed our officers all day, had harassed them, had blocked them in. They were impeding our law enforcement operations, which is against the law. And when they demanded and commanded her to get out of her vehicle several times, she did not. So we'll continue to allow this process to unfold.
That's still not a reason to unalive her. Am I wrong? I mean, come on now.
And recognize that these law enforcement officers every single day put their lives on the line. They go out and do their jobs. They go out and this was an act of domestic terrorism, which is perpetuating these policies and procedures that follow a use of force situation like this are continuing to be put in place. So this is standard operating procedure after every use of force situation is that we follow these procedures and protocols. This situation is no different.
So was the SOP to unalive people, that are U.S. citizens, that were born here, that wasn't even the target? Is that the SOP?
That we have and where we will be focused on. But I think that when you see violent criminals that are taking advantage of American citizens and putting their lives in jeopardy, our law enforcement officers at DHS will always show up. Yes. I'll come back. Go ahead.
Secretary, the officer involved in the shooting yesterday, has he been suspended or is he still in the field?
The officer went to the hospital. He was hit by the vehicle, went to hospital and received treatment, was released, and is spending time with his family now.
And is he still
Yes, sir.
Yes.
In Minneapolis yesterday, you said the search there would continue. While you didn't directly say whether we can expect an ICE search for
In detail our law enforcement operations that we have. It's just puts our officers' lives in jeopardy, but they will be there enforcing the laws of this country and upholding the public safety needs that have to happen when it comes to enforcing federal law.
So will this be just Homeland Security?
Exactly, and that's what witnesses say that they're saying that she moved the car forward, and witnesses are saying that she didn't even move the car. So, you know, somebody's trying to CAS, or what is it? CTA, cover their ass. You know? I don't know. Even her demeanor, does she even look like she's you know, like she's even like has any regrets of what happened? She doesn't even look like she has any sympathy for what happened. Like, girl, you worrying about how you look? Sorry, but to me, is she caring more about how she looks right now than what actually happened? Yeah, that's wild. You know? Yeah, she looks like she don't give a damn. You know? They're trying to cover their ass.
Investigations.
You know, we've got thousands of officers there, and I'm not opposed to sending more if necessary to keep people safe. Back up here.
Secretary, can you talk a little bit about the experience of the officer and some of his background? How much training did he have? How much training in these types of situations did he have, even if he's from the region?
Yeah, I'm not going to get specific to this officer, but he's an experienced officer that has served a number of years, and we recognize that he acted according to his training, and we have expected all the policies and procedures of
So
review.
they're trained to unalive you, even though you were not a threat to them. Okay. What do you guys think about that? They were trained to basically, allegedly, unalive somebody, and they weren't even a threat.
Will be exactly that he acted appropriately to protect his life and the life of his colleagues and fellow law enforcement officers that were there and people that were surrounding. Yes.
I'd like to get your reaction on some of the rhetoric here in New York City. Mayor Zohar Mamdani responded to the shooting yesterday, saying that this is the latest horror in a year full of cruelty. He called it an attack on us all, and that New York stands with immigrants today and every day. Also, council members last
Thank you, everybody that's watching. This is a live stream I am talking about the incident that happened yesterday about Renee Good being unalived by an ICE agent. You know, it's still an ongoing investigation. This is not about politics. This is not about any immigrants. This is not about, you know, anything like that. This is about a woman that lost her life. And to me, it was avoidable. It definitely could have been avoided. But thank you for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please double tap the screen. Please share. And also, if you can donate, please do. Any donations are greatly appreciated. The Cash App is rolling across the screen. Thank you.
night of the protest called this fascism. The New York City's public advocate, Jumaane Williams, said that your administration is, quote, doing the devil's work. And he asked New York City to stand up and show up, quote, it's going to be difficult and there are going to be casualties. And the last comment that was made last night at the protest was from New York State Representative Alex Boros, also a Democrat. Quote, not only was the ICE agent's hand on the gun, but Secretary Noem's hand was on the gun. President Trump's hand was on the gun. What is your response to your Democratic leaders, those particular comments, and the protesters that are outside?
I would say those comments are why we're standing where we are today. That kind of language and that kind of provocative talk, inciting people to take action and perpetuate violence in some cases, is unacceptable, and especially of elected leaders. We have a responsibility to state the facts, to go out and enforce the law. Your mayor just said in that statement that he was going to stand with illegal people who have broken our law before he's going to put New York City citizens first. His job and why he was elected was.
All right, let's see if she talks any more about what happened in Minneapolis. Although I am from New York, so, it would be good for me to listen to what's going on in New York City as well. But this live stream is not about that. It's about the incident that happened in Minneapolis. So let me just try to forward it a little bit, see if they go back to talking about it.
To protect the people who.
Can you explain that reversal?
I'd like to know where they've been and why they're not out on the streets investigating all of these people that are harassing and inciting violence on law enforcement officers right now. They're allowing the situation to be volatile. They're not doing their work. They haven't for years, and maybe they should get to work a little bit on the.
She's very much deflecting. And for any of you that think that that woman was unalived and she, deserved what she got, shame on you.
Unprecedented fraud that we've to go forward on the streets as well.
Does this also apply to the Minneapolis Police Department, the county sheriffs, the federal authorities at this point? They don't want.
I won't put a blanket statement out like those other individuals will. What I would say is I welcome them to come and help us. Come help us make sure that the streets are safe, that laws are enforced, and that we can do the right thing to make sure that American citizens come first.
Well,
yes,
she
sir.
was an American citizen.
They have not been cut out. They don't have any jurisdiction in this investigation. Yes, go ahead. I'm going to speak to this individual right here. Yes.
How do you respond to Americans who have been listening to your comments that this was an act of domestic terrorism, that the officer was...
Anytime you take something...
It was not an act of... Oh, my goodness. You see what she's trying to say? Ridiculous. You guys, let me know what you think about this. If you're watching the
this
replay,
vehicle
please let me
was
know.
used to hit this
Please
officer. It was used as a weapon, and the officer feels as though his life...
You can have an opinion even if you're watching this after I get off, but please be respectful, be respectful in the comments. I don't know. She's saying it's an act of terrorism. This is wild. This is wild to me.
Was in jeopardy. It was used to perpetuate a violent act that this officer took action to protect himself and to protect his fellow law enforcement officers. So we'll let this continue to go forward and follow the same policies and procedures that every use of force situation does. But we've had almost over 100 times that these vehicles have been used to ram law enforcement officers and to do damage and to harm them. When you take an action...
But yet, she was a citizen, just dropped off her child, a stay-at-home mom, was not even intended target. The question still remains, why was she stopped in the first place? I don't hear the answer to that question. Why was she stopped in the first place? And sorry, guys, I keep stopping the video because, when you do commentary on something, you do have to, keep stopping and add your commentary to it. Yeah, so.
And use a weapon to harm someone and to incite violence against them and try to cause them injury or death, then it needs to be labeled exactly what it was.
Do you believe the use of force in this instance was commensurate with the actions of that vehicle and the driver?
I would say that when these individuals use vehicles to try to ram our law enforcement and to put their lives at risk, that law enforcement officer has to make a decision to protect his life and the individuals around him as well. Yes.
What did you make of Tom Homan's comment
yesterday that we should wait for an investigation before determining, as you have, that in this incident it was self-defense and that he felt that his life was in danger.
You know, I didn't see those comments, but from what I understand, he also put out a statement later as well. So I'll let Tom speak to that, but all of us are on the same page in the fact that this law enforcement officer followed his training and that he defended and acted in defense of his life and those around him.
So now it was self-defense. Oh, brother. I think we got the gist of this, you know. This video does go on for like 20 more minutes, but we obviously see and hear, you know, what their argument is. And, you know, no, just no, it's not okay. You know, it's real sad. But, you know, like I said, I got that from YouTube, but it was also on NBC. So if you want to watch the whole video, you are, you know, you can go watch it after this live stream to hear what else she had to say. But to me, they're not taking any accountability. To me, they're just trying to cover their butt, you know? They're trying to cover their ass. And that's just my opinion, you know? So it is what it is, you know? I mean, it shouldn't be it is what it is, but it is. You know? And I don't mean to laugh, but it's just ridiculous to me. So yeah, so thank you for being here, guys. I really appreciate everybody that has been watching. Not a lot of people have been chatting in the comments, but I do see people are watching, so I greatly appreciate you for watching. Please, you know, like I said, like, share, comment, subscribe. I greatly appreciate you. So I want to end with this. No matter where you stand politically, no matter how you feel about immigration, 3 children lost their life. I mean, sorry, God forbid, but 3 children lost their mother. Renee Nicole Good was a person. She was a U.S. citizen. She was a mother. She mattered. And her story deserves to be told fully, not buried in a statement, not buried by speculation and lies. You know, she deserves justice. She really deserves justice. And unfortunately, to me, the system failed her yesterday. Well, you know, they just didn't do their job well. No matter what their training, she said their training was, to me, you know, some people just use their position the wrong way. They definitely use their force for it was uncalled for. And especially according to witnesses and city officials, it was uncalled for. She did not advance her car when they were surrounding her. So that might be a lie. But I guess while this investigation, you know, is still being investigating, we'll find out, you know. FBI took all the evidence and shut out the local and state official. That is all that needs to be said. They're not training these folks. Facts. And she said what was she? The mayor? What I forgot what she was. But she said that he was a part of the, you know, ICE for a while already, and he just did what he had to do according to his training. You know? Hey, JC. I don't know if I said hey, but, you know, I was really into this. But, you know, Renee definitely deserves justice. Her partner deserves justice. And her children deserve justice. You know? If you came in late, please watch the replay to get the full story, you know. But to me, she definitely didn't deserve this. And I hope that they do their investigation well and that this just doesn't get covered up, because that is not right, you know. You guys, if you would like to donate to her family, you can Google the GoFundMe, you know. Her children will need to be taken care of for years to come, you know. But yeah, you know, she was a person. So justice for Renee. So thank you guys for being here. If you made it this far, thank you. You know, as always, please like, share, comment if you're watching the replay, subscribe, but really share this story, because awareness matters, you know, and people do need to make, you know, everybody aware of this, because maybe the more people that know about it, the more people that will reach out to the proper officials, so they won't sweep this under the rug, you know. And my Cash App is on the screen if anybody would like to donate. You know, I am not monetized, and this is basically my job right now. So any donations are greatly appreciated. But I just want to say once again, justice for Renee Good. And I really hope she, you know, rest in peace. And thank you, everybody that joined me. Thank you for everybody that is watching. Please make sure you double tap that screen. Double tap, guys. Let's get it. There's 27 people watching. Can we double tap that screen before I get off? Hit that like button. I greatly appreciate it. If, you know, I get off of here, please come back and watch the replay if you came in late. And you can also hit the like button on the replay. Comment, let me know you were here. JC says the FBI is investigating. It will be covered up. That's why they shut the state and police out. And local police out. Isn't that sad? Don't let them sweep this under the rug, guys. You know, her family needs justice. You know, it really is sad. But thank you, guys. I will be making a video about the Holly Johnson court case and what happened today. So please look out for that video. I won't be doing a live about it since it's just an update. But please go ahead and watch that video when it does come out. So please hit subscribe. Please hit that notification bell. And I also I also published a video today on the same thing, the Holly Johnson case, her court date yesterday. So if you guys want to watch that, it was also a refresher on the case. So if you don't know about that case, you know, the unaliving of Ramika Meeks, and now Holly Johnson is being charged, please go ahead and watch that video so you can get a refresher and an update. And look out for today's update. It will be coming soon. So thank you guys. Have a great night, and I will catch you on the next one.